that being a super fan, you add something to the stadium that you don't see. You can't just do it. It's hard to explain what the super fans add to a game. You know, the atmosphere, the excitement, the getting people to cheer when they don't feel like they want to cheer. That's our job, you know, and I guess we love it.
Oh, and there was the Jets guy too, that fire dude. What's his name? You know, the guy that in the Jets games always wore the fire.
Yeah, I'm not. Oh, yeah, it was a fire guy. There's usually a fireman type character for most teams. You know, I know there's one for the Saints. There's one for the Bills. There's ones for pretty much every team. There's a lot of different kinds of characters. But as far as I know, I'm the only Bigfoot in it for any team, as far as I know. And I know a lot of super fans because I belong to a group called the Superfan Alliance, where it's a social media group, and I'm friends with tons of Bills fans and Miami Dolphins fans and Baltimore Ravens fans and fans from all over the country, and we all talk on a regular basis, multiple times a week, and just kind of chat about what's going on with their teams, and it's a really cool, fun way for fans to get to know each other across the country.
So that's an alliance? Is there an association, or are they the same thing?
It's different. I was talking to you about PUFA, which is that's the Pro Football Ultimate Fan Association, and it is a fan club that is actually based and affiliated with Canton, Ohio, the NFL Hall of Fame, Canton, Ohio. And once a year they have a big parade for all the super fans. And to be a PUFA member, you have to be invited. You have to get a draft card by a PUFA member, and then they do interviews, and there's a panel of 11 people that vote whether you're on or not. And they only allow 3 cards per team a year, and only 1 person per team is voted in. And
wow,
it's kind of a big deal. When you're voted in, you get a cool coin, and you're part of the group, and you know, spread the good-natured sportsmanship throughout the league. You know, that's what it's for.
Yeah. So, is there a standard there about how you behave?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, number one, besides the fact that you have to be a good representative of the team, not only away and there, wherever you're at, if you're in costume or whatever you're doing, but you know, don't take money for anything. Be involved in charitable organizations. You know, a lot of it is your attitude as a fan. And how you represent yourself. You know, they're looking for a certain level. They don't want someone that just gets a suit and is taking, you know, $5 to take pictures on the street corner. That's not the kind of person they're looking for.
Yeah. So if you're looking back, you've been doing this for 4 years now, or just?
I've been going to games, pretty much every game for 4 years. And
every game?
Yeah, the home games.
Wow.
I go to 1 away game a year, and this year was Baltimore. And it was a lot of fun, especially setting up with the Superfan Alliance and getting to know a lot of people before I went there.
Oh, man.
And so, you know, there was a group of probably 10 Seahawks superfans that went down there and met up with, you know, 10 to 15 Ravens fans, and we just kind of hung out all weekend. Went to seafood restaurants, and we tailgated together, went to the game together, and it's a really cool experience. I mean, when I started doing this, I just kind of wanted to dress up and help out, right, and be a part of the team, but I was accepted by the main core of superfans, and now I'm invited to all kinds of events, hang out with Seahawks players, guys that I idolized when I was a kid now are friends of mine. I call them on the phone, you know, Alonzo Mitz and Hillary Butler and ex-Seahawks players and stuff, so it's been a really cool thing for me, and I never expected to kind of get accepted like that.
Yeah. That does sound a lot of fun for you. So have you met some players or families or people who are in any way celebrity, I guess?
Yeah, well, it's weird because, you know, I've been to Squatch now for 2 seasons, and I've got to know pretty well. I've got to hang out with Earl Thomas's parents, and you got to wear Earl's ring, which was cool. Getting to wear a real Super Bowl ring.
Oh, man.
I know Marshawn's mom pretty well, Sunshine Lynch. I got to hang out with her multiple times, and the first time she came, she was screaming my name because, you know, she's just screaming Squatch from behind me, and I want to take a picture, and I turned around and there's Marshawn's mom. I was like, oh gosh. You know, it was so cool. And then we started talking, and then I saw her again at training camp, and I wasn't in the suit, and she was like, oh, you're the guy. And so we got to sit down and talk about Marshawn for a while. I know the Locketts. There's a whole bunch of, you know, especially family members. The Colemans, Derek Coleman, he's the deaf running back for the Seahawks. I know his father pretty well. We hung out with him at Ocean Shores for 2 days. So it's been a really cool thing for me getting to meet these people.
You've made quite an experience out of it. So if you look back on some of that history, is there a game that stands out at CenturyLink that was really great for you?
For me, it was the NFC Championship game against the Niners. Now, people all say the one against Green Bay was the game that people remember. But for me, the best game that I saw was the game against the Niners, the game with the tip where we went to the Super Bowl and actually won. There's just a lot of things about that game for me that make it a better game. Not only was it better through the whole game, but the ending was really dramatic, and we ended up winning a Super Bowl and like the whole thing. So that's my favorite memory.
So that was kind of like your version of the Miracle in Motown.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and I was there. and the coolest thing is the tip was literally 20 yards from where I was. I mean, it happened in our end zone, in the corner. You know, Sherm's lining up, and we're all yelling, "It's coming your way, Sherm!" And sure enough, it did.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool.
So you have been to some other stadiums as well as CenturyLink, and you know people talk about CenturyLink. A lot of teams don't like to come and play there because they don't like Seattle fans, which seems that people really relish in that.
They don't like the noise.
Yeah, they don't like the noise. How have you noticed different? What are the stadiums like that you go to that are away games? Can they compare to Seahawks?
Well, here's the difference, and I talk at other stadiums that I've been to with a lot of people that have or have not been to CenturyLink. And pretty much the main differences that I get when I talk to people that are coming to CenturyLink for the first time is they're amazed that we scream first through fourth down. Most places they scream third down, they may scream fourth down, but they don't stand the whole game. They don't cheer when the defense is out from first through fourth. And at CenturyLink, it's basically the same volume whether it's first down or fourth down. It really doesn't matter. The crowd is screaming. Now I will say that I think it's about a third less loud than it was 2 years ago.
Ah, yeah.
And I would guess I would attribute that to expensive ticket prices and kind of pricing out the guys who are real crazy screamers, right?
Oh.
And it's kind of become more of like the cool thing to go to. So and the volume levels have definitely, and a lot of fans have talked about it over the last couple of years, have come down. They're still way louder. I mean, you know, we were at Baltimore, and even the quiet moments in CenturyLink are about twice as loud as the loudest moment in Baltimore. And that, I mean, that's totally the truth, not just I'm a Seahawks fan, but it could be louder.
It could be louder, eh? Hey, let's take a break here, but when we come back, we'll talk more to Seasquatch, who is actually AJ from Hot 97.5. We're back in a moment here on Meet in the Middle. Hey, if you've got a question for Seasquatch, give us a call, 547-8726, otherwise known as AJ with Hot 97.5. So, what do you think about Marshawn Lynch? Is he back next year? What's your feel on that?
I think that most people that are aware of the team now, you know, I don't really have much inside information on this, but everyone that I talk to says that the likelihood of him coming back is pretty small. He's a really beat up runner. Not only that, he's going to be really expensive. And we got Thomas Rawls who's going to be coming back, plus a draft and some other things. Just the way the Seahawks have been, I think this may be his last year. And I really hope that we get him in the playoffs and he's healthy, but we still don't know if he's going to come back yet or not. He's supposed to be practicing this week with the team, but I haven't heard anything about how strong he is.
Do you have a favorite player?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, who is that?
An all-time player?
Yeah.
My favorite all-time player is Steve Largent.
Ah,
you know,
okay.
I don't know about most people, but I've been watching the Hawks and been a fan since 1980. That kind of dates me. I'm older than most people think I am, I guess. And Steve Largent was the little guy on the field. You know what I mean? He was never the fastest guy. He was never the biggest guy, but he always had the most yards, most touchdowns. He always managed to make it happen. And for me, being a shorter guy myself, he was a guy that I could look up to. You know, he also had really good morals. He was just a really great role model, and he'll always be my role model. And I'm pretty excited next year. I guess I may get to maybe meet him, so that would be awesome.
Oh, that is great. All right, what about of the current team?
Cam Chancellor.
Oh, okay.
And he's been my favorite. Are you familiar with Cam Chancellor?
Just barely.
Yeah, he's the guy who delivers the boom and the Legion of Boom.
Mm-hmm.
He's the big hit guy, number 31, Cam Chancellor. And when I do events, actually, and I get paid for an event, I take that money and I put it towards either Cam Chancellor's foundation, which is called Cam Cares, or there's another foundation that's based out of Seattle that's for burned kids. It's called Burned Youth United, and it started by a guy named Terry McCarty, who was burned really bad as a child, and he didn't want other kids to have to struggle through that experience. So, and that's what kind of all the super fans do. Whenever we do, like, you know, we hung out at Ocean Shores all weekend and we got paid for that. But instead of taking the check, I took the check and sent it to Cam Cares.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what a lot of us do is when we donate our time, we take that money and we donate that.
Mm-hmm. So when you go for a game, you're not being paid in any way.
Mm-mm.
You show up extra early, you were
Mhm.
saying, and do a lot of tailgating and hanging out with people.
Yeah, I leave here probably 5 or 5:30 in the morning if I'm driving over for an 11 o'clock game or a 1 o'clock game.
Yeah.
And I'll tailgate, you know, 4 or 5 hours, walk around, you know, just talk to people, be the Squatch, you know, take pictures with people, hang out. Tailgating is a pretty big area. A lot of people think it's just right there by CenturyLink, but it's more down by, it's probably 8 or 9 blocks down by Krispy Kreme, which is south of Safeco Parking Center, if you know where that is.
Mm-hmm.
If you just walk towards the ocean a block or two and then start walking south, you'll start running into tents and tailgating, and Beast Bus tailgate is the final one down at the very end. And it's like, you know, a quarter mile of tailgating.
What game do you look forward to? I mean, what is the best rival, do you think, for the Seahawks?
It used to be the Niners.
Yeah.
You know, a long time ago. Now it seems to be kind of the Rams. You know, they're the ones that have our number every single year. The Cardinals are pretty big. You know, rivalry. Green Bay, you know, is a really big rivalry because of the past history with the teams from the Fail Mary and NFC Championship game and different things like
And
that.
even before that, the one that always gets showed on NFL Network when they were playing a divisional round game in Green Bay, and Hasselbeck was the quarterback. This was back in the 90s, and they went to overtime.
Oh, is that we're going to win and we're going to score, we're going to get the
Yeah.
ball and we're going to score, and then they get
And
pick six back
They
for
scored on the pick six.
Yeah,
didn't they?
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
and
know
a lot of
my-
rivalry there.
I know my history. John and I, it's so awesome because John and I talk football all the time.
Oh, I
Oh, yeah.
bet. You study this, I'm sure.
Oh,
Well,
beyond
so
belief.
so what happened with the Rams last weekend?
Well, look, here's the thing. Any given Sunday, any team can beat any team,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know, Hawks had a lot of injuries. Even if you take everything that happened in that game and you take away the one fumble return for a touchdown, we win that game by 1 point. So, you know, football is a game of inches, and sometimes you come up short, and that was a game that was kind of a wash. You know, it didn't really affect us so much for playoffs or the end of the season, and I think they may have been a little guilty of taking the foot off the pedal a little bit, but you know, it doesn't mean anything for the playoffs, is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
It's very, very difficult for a team to sustain itself year after year after year, and to be the high
Mhm.
that it was a couple of years ago. To maintain that, I think is really, really difficult. My observation is that I really love the Seahawks because of all of the commerce it has created in the Northwest.
Right.
Really, there is just so much money being spent. I mean, just a little bit that you've talked about in what you spend, but
Mhm.
fans just, and particularly at Christmas, oh my gosh, there's just so much money being spent.
Seahawk mania, and the Seahawks own Seattle right now. I mean,
Yeah.
if you go anywhere in the fall in Seattle, there's 12 flags everywhere.
Right.
People are in gear. You know, it's all over their cars. It's, you know, they put it in the business windows.
Yeah, but I don't think it's just
You know.
Seattle. I think it's Northwest.
Yeah,
I mean, there's the exceptions, you know, like John, who's who's always an exception, but
yeah,
it's Northwest.
It's definitely, you know, the Seahawks have been around for quite a while now, since '76. So, you know, and for a long time we were waiting for them to be good.
Yes.
You know, and there were long stretches where fans were just beat up. It's hard to be a fan, you know, for years and years and years when your team doesn't even have a chance of making the playoffs or not even close to
Well,
winning
Mariner
games.
fans understand that. Yeah.
So the last, you know, being into the playoffs 5 of the last 6 years since Pete Carroll has come in has been a real drastic change.
Mhm.
And, you know, for people that have been fans of the team for a long time, this is our heyday. This is the time that we're going to be talking about, because it's not going to last. You know, it never lasts. You know, teams always go up and down, and, you know, owners and
Weird
coaches and players
circumstances
move.
that come together at,
Mhm.
you know, the stars align, I guess it were, so. But it's been a fun ride, hasn't it? I mean, wow, for you, it's exceptional.
Well, it's strange how I just kind of wanted to do my own thing, right, and
Mhm.
come up with something different and just help, you know, with the atmosphere in the stadium. and do what I was going to do. I didn't expect to be accepted by guys that have been super fans for 25 years. You know, there are a lot of people that have been dressing up at games for the last 10, 15 years that aren't accepted by the core 5 or 6, you know, that have been there for 25 years. Cannonball, Mr. and Mrs. Seahawk, Big Low, who's the guy who holds the Sea Fence sign. Shannon Love, he's the guy in the green suit. They call him the Sea Pimp, but his name is Shannon Love. You know, the Rooster, Hawk Daddy, you know, Kilt Man, who's the guy who dresses up like a Scottish guy, and he's got blue hair that sticks up, blue spiky hair. You know, those guys have been around for 20-some years, dressing up for games.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been doing it for 2, and I'm in with that group. So I feel really lucky because they're all like, you know, my kind of super fan heroes in a way.
Well, are other super fans from areas outside of Seattle,
Yeah.
or are you an exception?
I'm an exception. Most of them live right in Seattle.
Yeah.
A lot of them do a lot of events in Seattle. It's hard for me to get over to do those. I do, you know, a couple a year outside of regular games, and I do stuff in Yakima, and I've done a couple events here in Tri-Cities. But I know that Seahulk, his name is Tim, and he's from Ritzville, and he is another guy that lives quite a ways away. But, you know, from outside of the Seahawk area, I know the Gorillas in Miami. There's Gorilla Loop and Gorilla Chase. There's actually 4 gorillas, but they drive 3 hours for every game.
Whoa.
I know John Havoc Atkins, who is a Baltimore Ravens fan, a friend of mine. He drives almost 6 hours every single game down to Baltimore. So it's, you know, it's common for fans to drive, you know, multiple hours per game to go to it. You know, I'm just lucky that my team is only 3.5 hours away. You
Yeah.
know, what if it was across the country?
How would you do that?
How would I do it?
Yeah. So, you know, coaches play an interesting role when it comes to fans. Obviously, fans are important. They support the team. They buy tickets. I mean, all this kind of stuff. Again, commerce rules. How does Pete Carroll show up in this in terms of appreciation of fans?
Well, I think our level of, I'd say, connection is much larger than most other fan bases in the team. And it goes from the team to us and then back. They both are thanking each other. And I'll give some examples. When we won the Super Bowl, the first thing that Pete Carroll did was come out on stage and thank the fans. That was the #1 thing that they said right away. They understand that the fans, not only home but also away, are a big reason why they have been so dominant over the last couple of years. They give them that kind of credit, and the fans return it. Now, for instance, I was in Baltimore, and you know, John said he'd never ever seen this before. But after the game, there were probably 400 or 500 Seahawk fans lined up along the corner where the buses came out, and the 3 buses started to come out. There was no security there. The buses stopped. The entire team got out and signed autographs and took pictures for 45 minutes with all the 12s. I mean, everybody, from Russell Wilson, all the starters, the coaches, everybody came out for 45 minutes and just milled with the fans. That doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen anywhere else. You know, I think the 12s and the Hawks have a really special relationship, and I hope it never goes away.
Yeah. So I was talking to you about this during the break, and you know, you're a family guy. Boy, taking a family to a Seahawks game is like would break the bank for a lot of people. I mean, they can't do it. They go once a year maybe. How do you work this out with your family? It's a young family.
Well, yeah, I have 2 small kids. I got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I bring them to 1 game a year. And that's an expensive outing. You know, to bring my wife and my daughter and me is about $700 just in tickets.
Whoa.
Right? So I do that once a year. And that's so that they can experience what I experience. You know, I think it's important. You know, I don't make a ton of money. I work in radio, so you know, I work a second job in order to pay for this habit of mine. But I make sure that I take them 1 game a year, and then my wife is a teacher who does conferences, and so I guess the trade-off is I watch the kids when she goes to conferences, and she watches the kids when I go to my 10 or 8 to 10 games a year, depending upon if there's playoffs or whatever. And so yeah, they've been really supportive, and eventually, you know, I've been on the list for season tickets now for 4 years, and I talked to the ticket people, and I'm supposed to get them this year. So if I get my season tickets this year, that'll be 2 seats that I'll have for my family or friends, and I'll probably just buy another seat somewhere else, and that way that they can start coming with me.
Yeah. And the team doesn't give you anything extra. I find that really interesting. They should be a lot more supportive, I think, of superfans. Come on.
Yeah, they're not even remotely supportive. Now they do let us dress up in our costumes, so they could stop.
Okay,
They
all
could
right.
stop that, right?
Wow.
They could.
That's to their benefit for you to be doing that.
But they don't. They don't give us any preferential treatment in ticket prices, tickets, any kind of access anywhere. I will tell you that the ushers are really cool people, and going there for years in a row in the same locations, you really get to know those people. So we do we kind of have free run. I can run around and jump up in the alleyways and get people going, and they let me do stuff like that where they wouldn't just let a normal person do that. They tell you to go find your seat.
Yeah.
So we get a little bit like that, but I don't get to go on the field. I don't get free tickets. I don't even get a discount. I don't get any of that stuff. And if we show up to events, they're very appreciative and they're cool, but you know, that they're just we're like every other fan.
Well, it's fascinating, and I'm so glad that I asked you to be on the show today and share your story, because it is quite interesting, AJ. Thanks a lot. You bring a lot of joy to a lot of people, and that's kind of cool.
Well, it's good for me too. I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it.
It has to be two ways.
You know, it's
I
a lot.
agree.
It's a lot of fun, and you know, being another personality, I guess. I don't know. Being in radio, people just know me, right? So it's nice to have something where, you know, I've had people that are from Tri-Cities come up and ask to have a picture with me as a Squatch and not have a clue it was me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny.
That is funny. Hey, have fun this weekend. Thanks, AJ.
Thank you.
We're back in a moment.